The MacIver Institute hosted a forum on Thursday night focusing on issues affecting the Millennial Generation. Jared Meyer, the co-author of the book Disinherited, was the featured speaker.
My book's about the many ways that government policy works against young millennials and young Americans in general. And too bad we had to keep the book to 150 pages because there are just a multitude of ways that government policy is stacked against young people in favor of older, established interests. And we see this in everything from the mounting national debt that we're forcing young people to pay off, even for programs that they never voted for and that may not be around for them when they retire.
As this generation comes of age, they're finding it difficult getting established. Government policies aren't helping.
There's so much regulation, all in the spirit of collecting taxes or doing good by people and being sure you're not screwing them, but you're going to end up screwing this entrepreneurial spirit when there's this sense of hopelessness, when you're going, how am I ever going to get ahead if every time I expand, I'm going to be subject to some kind of fine or penalty or regulation? It's that fear of the unknown that is the most disheartening, I think.
With Obamacare, you do see the increased costs for young people who are subsidizing, whether it's the Medicaid aspect or the elderly aspects, because you're talking about a risk pool. That's what health insurance is. And so those who are younger and healthier, who are less likely to go to the doctor, less likely to be sick, less likely to have that surgery, they're paying the higher premiums for those who are less healthy, more likely to have the surgeries, et cetera, et cetera.
Looking towards the future, these millennials are especially frightened by government entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare. Although the national debt is currently $18 trillion, the federal government is on the hook for over $200 trillion in the future for promised benefits.
These programs are unsustainable in their current form, and there's no way to look at the future without facing some sort of very, very serious entitlement reform, if not austerity. And we see that, we see what that really looks like and how painful that looks like in places like Greece and Europe right now. Very, very real austerity. So the time is now to try and tackle these problems in a way that we can do them in a reform and get them on a glide path.
Every time the AARP pushes for more spending on older Americans and puts the burden on the backs of young people, maybe we should think twice about this. Or when we move to giving power to established teachers and keeping out young teachers and giving young people substandard education, we need to think about this twice. So there's a lot of different areas where the unintended consequences of government policy, again, favor older interests at the expense of millennials.
Meyer does not believe older generations are intentionally trying to hurt the youth, but urges them to wake up to what their policies are doing.
This isn't generational warfare. This isn't a bunch of grandparents sitting in a back smoke-filled room trying to figure out how they can take away opportunities from young people, but rather the AARP isn't standing up to their members' desires, and instead they just constantly keep forcing politicians to make promises and give benefits now while pushing off the costs to future voters or people who aren't even born yet.
For the MacIver Institute, I'm Bill Osmulski.